Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I figured today I'd do a character analysis because I talked about doing character analyses, and this is one that I've wanted to do for a while because in my opinion she's one of the most misunderstood characters in Danganronpa, you could say. So today I'm going to be talking about another one of my favorite characters, possibly my favorite character from the first game, Mukuro Ikusaba. So, most people know Mukuro because they know Junko and blah 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 blah. They plunge the world into unmitigated despair. Whatever, okay? We're not going to talk about Junko. Well, we'll talk about Junko a little bit and how her relationship with Maruko can impact Maruko's well-being and the way she views things. But today we're really just going to talk about Mukuro. So let's start out with her backstory. In the direct game, they don't talk a lot about her backstory. They mention that her and Junko were homeless for a period of time, and in that homeless period they had it quite rough, with Mukuro comparing possible attackers to wild animals. And what's known about her childhood besides that is that she had an interest in the military. Just before entering middle school, she disappeared on a family vacation in Europe. Most people thought she had been kidnapped and she was never found, but in reality, she ran off to join an elite mercenary group based out of the Middle East called Fenrir. She became proficient in a variety of forms of combat and worked hard to be the super high school level soldier. And that is what enrolled her into Hope's Peak with her sister. So, during her time at Hope's Peak, she grew to have a crush on a fellow classmate, Mukuro Niegi. He was the first person to ever smile at her, which is a little weird, but whatever, we're just gonna brush that off. She watched him from afar and watched how he impacted everything that happened at Hope's Peak, because you can tell he really had a big part. If you watch the Despair arc, they do talk about it a little bit. So because of Mukuro, she started to think about the world outside of Junko's plans, and it caused her to be hesitant when Junko unveiled her plan for the killing school life with their fellow students, Mukuro included. It's implied that Mukuro was abused by Junko, and there are many instances to show this the truth. In many cases of abuse, the victims often sympathize with the abusers, and this is very, prominent when you can see how Maruko lets Junko treat her and how the two interact. So, Maruko will just let Junko belittle her, talk bad about her, physically hurt her, and just put them in all forms of danger. One time when they went to go meet Azuru Kamakura, Mukuro begged Junko to leave because she knew that people were going to find the two, and Junko didn't, and they almost got caught. So you can tell that Junko clearly does not care for Maruko or any of her ideas, and she'll shut them down automatically. But you can also see that Mukuro can't see past that because of the abuse Junko has put her through and the manipulation. So, yeah. And so, something I'm going to talk about is how I believe Mukuro is a victim of Stockholm Syndrome. And if you don't know what Stockholm Syndrome is a psychological response in which hostages or abuse victims create a platonic or romantic bond with their captor or abuser in an attempt to keep themselves safe. The difference between Stockholm Syndrome and a conscious decision to manipulate their captor or abuser is that people affected with Stockholm Syndrome don't know that what they're doing is a survival mechanism and actually believe themselves to be in love with their captor or abuser. I believe Maruko would be a victim of Stockholm Syndrome mainly because of her and Junko's relationships. There are many times that Junko has put Maruko in forms of extreme physical danger. The time in the cab where she threw a grenade at her and tried to stab her with an ice pick, but still Maruko chalks it up to Junko's twisted love for her and always believed that everything was done out of a reason for love for Maruko. So, yeah. Now, Junko would always insult and belittle her, but Junko isn't dumb. Quite the opposite, in fact. She has super high school level analytical powers. Junko didn't just insult her sister to insult her and belittle her, but she did it as a form of control to keep Maruko compliant. Maruko listened to her sister because she believed her sister cared about her. Now Junko has her right where she wants her. Maruko believes she is nothing without Junko, and the only way she can be good at anything is if she pairs up with Junko. Junko constantly told her how horrible Maruko was, how ugly, smelly, whatever. It might seem just like dumb little insults in somebody's eyes, but to Maruko it meant a lot more. And she saw it as Junko trying to help her, but in reality it was just Junko's form to try and keep Maruko under her control and not let Maruko be her own person, because Junko recognized that Maruko had to be with her and that Maruko was a vital point in Junko's plans. Um, and so that's why she would manipulate her into believing that the only good thing she could ever do with Junko is to allow her and help her with her plans. So, in Maruko's Wikio bio, it states that when Maruko talks or thinks about her sister in Danganronpa 0 or Danganronpa 3, she sometimes blushes, implying ew, romantic feelings for her sister, which, that's, no. Why? Why, Danganronpa, why? I have a lot of questions about that, but we're just gonna ignore that, and this is another one of my reasonings that I think Maruko is a victim of Stockholm Syndrome, because she recognizes, in a normal relationship, she would recognize that this is wrong, and this social response, the one ingrained to her by society, can't overpower her psychological survival response, which is to manipulate Junko. I also believe it was so easy for Maruko to flee her home life and join Fenrir because Junko hadn't purposely controlled her at that point. I don't think Junko was as into unmitigated despair as you can see due to Yasuke Matsuda's memories of childhood with them. He talks about a sandcastle, blah 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 blah. There's not a lot, but I think it was because Junko hadn't started to manipulate Maruko at this point. She had let Maruko be her own person, and then Junko can see where she went wrong in that, with Maruko running away to join Fenrir, and that was a part of why Junko now believed that she had to control her sister. So, yeah. I don't believe Maruko to be a counterpart to Junko. As most people view her, I see her as her own person, although she's not really aware of it. I also believe Maruko and Junko's hopes and ambitions don't match up at all. Junko is only interested in despair, and as you can see by the end of the first game, she is only interested in despair for herself. You can see that she is not interested in the despair that the other students have been creating, and she even set her plan up purposefully to leave the last 6 students she could, who she knew would be able to crack down on her and would be able to take her down. So you can see that she's clearly just in love with despair, but Maruko is not. She does not share these same feelings about despair. She does not share the same reasoning for why she creates despair. The reason Maruko creates despair is for the positive attention from her sister. Junko has made Maruko believe that Junko's the only one who will ever care for Maruko. All the years of insulting her and belittling her is to keep Maruko to think that Junko is the only person who will ever love her, because she is clearly the only person who ever does love her, despite all the bad things that Junko says about Maruko. Junko does not like Maruko to be free-thinking, and she shuts down any ideas Maruko has, any kind of complaints she has, anything. Junko just wants Maruko to be part to her, but Maruko's not. Maruko is her own person, and Maruko can have her own motives, and Maruko's motive is positive attention from her sister. She recognizes that the only time she gets positive attention from Junko is when she follows Junko's plans and creates despair. Maruko believes Junko to be the only one who will ever love her because of Junko's controllingness and manipulation towards her. Controllingness? That's not a word, but that's beside the point. She recognizes Junko only loves her when she creates despair. Maruko is not a part of Junko's plan because of her infatuation with despair, like Junko is a part of her plan because of her infatuation with despair. She works with Junko for love and affection. Maruko is not a villain. Now, that's a hot take. That's a hot take, and let me explain myself. Maruko is not a villain. Maruko is not the villain in the same way that Junko is the villain. Maruko is not the villain in that way because Junko had her own reasoning. Junko's reasoning was she wanted to spare. Junko was the one who came up with the entire plan for the tragedy, the killing school life, everything. Maruko only followed along with her plan because she wanted Junko's love. And to me, that's a good intention on Maruko's part. Sure, she wants love from the wrong person, but in the end, it's just something she really wanted, and she could see that she thought that Junko was the only person who will ever love her, so that's why I don't believe her to be evil in the same way that Junko is evil. And you can clearly see, and even the creator said it himself, that Junko is a villain with no good reasons to be a villain. You can't sympathize with her in any way. There is no way to sympathize with her. But with Maruko, that's a little bit different. You clearly can see that Maruko has been just put into this awkward situation where she believes that Junko's the only one who will ever love her, and you can see Maruko clearly does have good intentions with joining Fenrir. She wants to be a part of something like that. She was not intending to use her talent for evil, but because of Junko's plans, she did. So I believe she's a person with good intentions, that those good intentions being love and affection, just wanting it from the wrong person, and she believes that she's been backed up so far into a corner that the only way out is her sister's love. So yeah, that was my Mukuro Ikusaba character analysis. This is something I've had written for a while, something I've been planning for a while. I just put footage of me drawing over it because I don't have very good editing software or anything, so it would just be something very easy to do. And I'm not that good at drawing, so don't judge my drawings too harshly. But yeah, I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys found it interesting. I hope you guys want to see more stuff like this in the future. Hopefully, next character I'm looking to analyze is Kyoko, and that one's going to be much longer because Kyoko's character is a lot more in-depth, unlike Haruko. And I get to talk more about her backstory, and I get to talk about the Kirigiri novels, which is something I really love. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you look forward to more stuff. If you guys have any other characters you want me to analyze or anything, you can put it down below, and I will be looking at them. Hopefully you guys have some good ideas and stuff. So yeah, have an amazing day. Bye.